Welcome to this week's session with Putnam County District Library and the Guiding Ohio Online Grant. This week we're going to take a look at 5 tips with Google Sheets. We've looked at some shortcuts before. Today we're going to look at 5 more, and maybe they're just a little bit more advanced tips that we might have available to you. So I'm going to bring up my Google Sheet that I started to create here behind. And the first thing that I'm going to show you is how you take a row or a column and you freeze that. Currently, I have this particular row across the top, and it is frozen. If you look at it, you can see how there's this slightly gray line going across. I'm going to go here at my column A, and I'm actually going to insert a column just real quick here to the left. And now I've got this column here that I have added, and I'm going to just simply type in, let's just call it test here at the top. So what I want you to see is how I can actually have a frozen row across the top and a frozen column. So if I highlight this and I go up here to my view, I go across to freeze, I can say freeze column 1. Now notice I've got this column that is referred to as frozen, and I've got this row. So what happens is when I go down my page, you're going to see how the test username, how that always stays there at the top. And the same thing would happen if I go across. So in other words, right now I have clear out here to O, and if I go across more now, that column column A is going to always stay visible. That becomes very helpful when you're entering a lot of data in, that you could always see a particular row or column that maybe has your header information in it. So that is the first tip this week. The second tip is we're going to look at how you notice here with my names, I have Sally Brown and Sue White, and they actually are like in 2 different rows. They're actually in the same row, but they what is called wrap down, where Amy Green does not. If I click here on this particular cell and I go up here to format with wrap, and I go out to my wrap, then what happens is Amy Green, all of a sudden now it goes down. And so instead of changing my particular column size and dragging that out, I now have it so that it is a set size, and then all my information just continues to go down. And if I were to type more information in here, it would, I'm going to just keep going, it's going to continue to wrap down the particular cell. So that is the second tip. The third tip has to do with looking at what is called conditional formatting. And if you notice here, I've got my different colors. And so if I go up here and I go to, again, go back to format and go to my conditional format, out here on the right-hand side, it's going to pop up. And I have what is called this, I'm going to go to color scale. And notice now I have these colors set, and what I've done is I had put in here like my minimum value. I had picked a number and I selected 100. So what happens is anything that is 100 or lower is the darker green. And then what happened is my midpoint I had set again as a number, and I had put that at 1,000. So anything that was 1,000 or lower, and then I did the same thing with my max. So I put this at I believe 1,100, and now anything that is set, so that is where my color scale is set. Now if I change my mind, I can simply click here on my trash can, and then it will take that away. So that is how you can do some formatting that would actually allow you to see if you wanted to have a very quick visual with your numbers and where they fall. And then the next thing we're going to look at is with your data, your stats. So if I go, oh, right here, column and stats. So here then what happens is I'm going to select this particular column, and notice now when I go to my data and stats, I went here under data, I went down to column stats, and now it's showing me the value of 500. I see it twice, 14 once, 50 once. So this would give me all my information here. If I were to go ahead and I'm going to add more information in, notice how my stats are changing out here to the side as I am entering my data. So that's a quick way to see the data and stats that are available. And then the same thing can happen is, say I've got this information here and I have all of this information entered. So my last and final tip we're going to look at is how I can go again under data, and here I can go to protect sheets and ranges. So in other words, I can set this so that this particular add a sheet or a range, and I can say, you know what, I want this particular sheet, which my whole document here is the sheet, but I want this particular column to be protected. So in other words, if I'm going to share this information out with someone else, I don't want them to be able to change this particular column at all. And this is where I then would set the permissions for that so that it could not be changed by someone other than myself, because I am the owner, and then I would be sharing it out to others. That is our 5 tips for using Google Sheets. I hope everyone has a great week.